All right, hi, doing? Thanks for joining us.
Hi, good to be with you.
Just want to dive right into some questions. Everyone's very excited about the new system, as are we here at WAL. So a lot of people are going to open up the site and they're just going to dive right into things like, what is my rating? What is my ranking? What's going on here? So maybe if you could just give us a little quick rundown. Just tell me how you got into this and you started building it at all, your background, and how you got going, and
Sure,
how long it's been in practice there in Australia.
sure. So I kind of came across arm wrestling back in 2011. Went on a YouTube journey, found an arm wrestling clip, and was like, "Wow, this is awesome." And I studied physics at university. I did a PhD in numerical modeling. I've done web and database development for the last 10 or 15 years. So um, I kind of applied that skill set to arm wrestling, and basically I made the site for myself because I wanted a system out there where I could follow the sport in a very easy fashion.
Let's just jump into the first big question here. I've just gone to your news site. I looked at the ratings and the rankings, and I see a guy there who I know I can beat, and I've beaten in the past, and he's ahead of me. What's going on, and what gives?
So the first thing to realize is your rating isn't an absolute measure of your ability. It's an approximation of your ability, plus or minus a certain number of points. But then, and another thing to realize is no ranking system is perfect in that how often do you see the situation where competitor A can beat competitor B can beat competitor C, but competitor C can beat competitor A? You have these systems, so how do you rank those three people when you have that kind of triangle? And so there will always be a time when if someone's above you that you've beaten, but then someone below you that's always beaten you is below you. So the idea is don't stress it. If you're concerned about your rating, there's a simple way to improve it, and that's simply just to go out and win matches. Because if you see someone that you think you're better than that's above you, look at their results, look at who they've beaten, look at their match win loss ratio. I'm sorry to say it will be better than yours. And so the way to improve it, the way to beat that guy, just win more matches. Another very important thing to note actually about rankings, it also represents your body of work. It's not your instantaneous snapshot of your ability from your last tournament. It's your it's your ranking based on every match you've ever had over the course of your career. And so someone can have a bad tournament, and they shouldn't lose all their points just from one bad tournament. So that's another thing to kind of note as well.
So it's sort of an average of everything that's entered into the system to a degree.
To a degree, yeah. Like I say, it's important to know that it represents that body of work of who you've beaten over the course of a year or two.
So generally, the way people probably want to know, how do I improve my rating so that my rank goes
It,
up?
well, it's just a very very simple thing. Just win, or rather, don't lose, and your rating will go up. But the thing about the ELO rating system that's important to note is it's not a fixed point system in that a win in a certain tournament doesn't give you a fixed number of points. A mathematical formula is used to determine the points you win, and it's basically based on, it works out the probability that competitor A will beat competitor B. If the probability is very high, if competitor A is rated really high and competitor B is rated really low, and competitor A wins, they'll only get a point. But if competitor B wins, they get a lot of points because that's an unexpected result. And so that way, someone that keeps on winning, their rating will go up, but you have a diminishing returns effect in that they won't just kind of continue up to the stratosphere. They'll level off because they'll be rated so much more higher than the guys in their class, to the point where they may win a tournament and only win a couple of points. Or another situation would occur. They might win 5 matches, lose one or lose 2 matches, and overall their points go down because they've lost against some very lowly kind of people. Similarly, someone that's on the way up, they'll make quick gains if they're doing well.
In short, if you lose to someone who's basically equally rated to you, it shouldn't be a drastic thing. But if you really drop a couple of matches to someone far below you on the scale, your rating will fall somewhat rapidly.
It will fall, but there's another important thing to note is there's a maximum number of points that you can gain and lose in a win or a loss, because one bad tournament shouldn't destroy years worth of good tournaments, or all the hard work you've done. So you won't lose a massive number of points if suddenly you have a terrible tournament and people far down, far rated below you beat you. There's a limit to how much you can lose, but also a limit to how much you can gain as well.
So is it an advantage for someone to pull up a class because the guys in that class generally have higher numbers?
Potentially, yes. So with the yellow rating system, if you compete against people with higher ratings than you and you beat them, you get more points. You get a higher number of points for beating someone that you shouldn't have beaten. The probability is low that you'll beat them, so you get more points for that. But you take a risk because you're in a higher weight class. People are going to be stronger as well, so you might take more losses. So that's the kind of the risk reward you have to kind of balance up. So yes, and the thing is, if you go into that weight class and you beat everyone, then your rating should go up a lot because clearly you're very, very good.
And so let's talk about someone who does compete normally in sort of local competition at one weight, but in high level competition at another. Where are they rated and ranked, and how does that work?
Okay, so the way it's set up, if you've competed in a certain weight class within the last year, you'll be ranked in that weight class. So if you could, say Todd Hutchins competes in the 195, so he's ranked in there. But if he goes into a tournament and competes at 225, he'll also be ranked in there. But when you go to his profile page, is where you can see all the stats about the breakdown, win loss, all those features. The ranking you'll see on his profile page will be his body weight from his last tournament. So someone, so in theory, you could get someone, ranked in all weight classes if they want to. But on their profile page, they're ranked based on their last body weight, the body weight of their last tournament.
All right, so I'm clicking through the site and I see next to my rating a little P. What does that P mean?
So the P means provisional. So the way it's set up, you have to have, for men, have to have at least 10 matches before they're officially ranked. Women, 5. The reason for this is after 10 matches, you start to get roughly ballpark, rating for someone's ability. If we're straight off the bat, it's all crazy, so you're going to gotta let them kind of work their way into the system, get a rough approximation to where they're at, then they get ranked.
Another small detail question: what does the change column mean?
Okay, so on the ranking page, when you see a list of rankings, the change column is the position change of that individual from the last month or the last time the rankings were updated. So there's one option you can look, into the past and see where people were ranked in, say, 2015, like January 2015. Who was the top ranked person then, or last month, who was the top ranked person then. So every time a tournament is entered in the system and it updates, you'll see the change of someone moved up 3 places or someone moved down 5 places. So that's what the change column represents.
Now, in a tightly packed class, say the 195s for us or the 225s, where there's a lot of guys who are pretty tightly, they're right together. Any given day, it could be any one of these guys could be climbing over the other one. If somebody has a terrible day, could they go from a number 2 in the ranking to a number 6 or 7? Is that possible?
Oh, absolutely. But that's part of the excitement and the fun of the system. If you have a bunch of guys all within say 20 or 30 points of one another, that they've got to perform well. Otherwise, they could lose several ranking places. So absolutely, someone could go from number 1 to number 5 or below, depending on how bunched up everybody is. But also, hopefully, that will inspire people to kind of keep competing. If they see how close the next guy below them is, and they know that guy's competing, they're going to lose their ranking, or they're going to move down.
Is it ever a disincentive to arm wrestle, though, where you don't want to risk your points? Could someone sort of hoard them and sit on them and never go out of this house again, and as a method for staying on top?
Oh no, for sure. I mean, you might get someone that wants to kind of protect their ranking at all costs, um, and I mean you don't often see that happen in reality. But one safeguard to that is there is a time limit. So if you haven't competed in a certain period of time, you drop off the rankings. Your rating remains the same. So and then if you compete again, your rating will be the rating used will be what your rating was last time you competed. And if you haven't trained and you're not as good, you'll lose points, and you'll start to kind of go down. So while someone might kind of like sit there and not compete for 6 months, because oh, I'm ranked third or something, I don't want to mess it up. Eventually, if they haven't competed, they'll just disappear from the ranking system.
And if you're confused or you're angry or you're perplexed by what your rating is or what your ranking is, go in, look at all the matches, right? Because all your wins and losses that it's based on are there.
Yeah, look at all your matches. Everything is all there. You can see everything you've ever done.
Lovely. All right. Well, thank you very much for taking the time today and explaining it through us. I'm sure we'll have you back on a little bit down the road as the system keeps building and people have more questions and we find more things to answer. But for now, thanks very much. And for all you watching out there, back to your original program.